Praise Jesus, glory to God, and hallelujah. Have you ever wondered, did God actually promise to bless me physically? Where is that in the Bible? I'd like to read that. Well, He did. He did promise to bless us physically, which always has spiritual blessings attached to it. And that's what we're going to talk about today. I'm Ann Thomas with Soul Seeker Ministries. Welcome to the Promises of God Bible Study. Okay, today we're going to talk about divine supplies or plentiful supplies. The first one we're going to go to Deuteronomy 2 and 7. And this promise is for Israel in the wilderness. Deuteronomy 2 and 7. For the Lord thy God hath blessed thee in all the works of thy hand. He knoweth thy walking through the great wilderness. These 40 years the Lord thy God hath been with thee. Thou hast lacked nothing. Nothing. God supplied every need of the children of Israel when they were in the wilderness. God supplies our every need. They lacked nothing. We should lack nothing as well. Okay, another example is for Elijah in time of the famine. And that's going to be in 1 Kings chapter 17. I just love the story of Elijah. He's one of my favorite characters out of the Bible. 1 Kings chapter 17, I'm going to read verse 6, then I'm going to read verses 8 through 16. And the ravens brought him bread and flesh in the morning, and bread and flesh in the evening, and he drank of the brook. Those were physical things. God sent him physically food and water. Okay, and then 8 through 16. And the word of the Lord came unto him, saying, Arise, get thee to Zarephath, which belongeth to Zidon, and dwell there. Behold, I have commanded a widow woman there to sustain thee. So he arose and went to Zarephath, and when he came to the gate of the city, behold, the widow woman was there gathering of sticks. And he called to her and said, Fetch me, I pray thee, a little water in a vessel, that I may drink. And as she was going to fetch it, he called to her and said, Bring me, I pray thee, a morsel of bread in thine hand. And she said, As the Lord thy God liveth, I have not a cake, but an handful of meal in a barrel, and a little oil in a cruse. And behold, I am gathering 2 sticks, that I may go in and dress it for me and my son, that we may eat it and die. And Elijah said unto her, Fear not, go and do as thou hast said, but make me thereof a little cake first, and bring it unto me, and after make for thee and for thy son. For thus saith the Lord God of Israel, The barrel of meal shall not waste, nor shall the cruse of oil fail, until the day that the Lord sendeth rain upon the earth. And she went and did according to the saying of Elijah, and she and he and her house did eat many days. And the barrel of meal wasted not, neither did the cruse of oil fail, according to the word of the Lord, which he spake by Elijah. That is amazing. There was a famine going on. So first, God had the ravens bring food to Elijah, and he drank from the brook. Well, then the brook dried up. And God needed Elijah to move. There's a couple of things to take away from this story. Number one, when God is finished with something, we're not going to get anything else from it. The brook dried up. Elijah had to move or he was going to die. God gave him an instruction, and he said, Go to Zarephath. And he told him exactly what was going to be waiting for him there. Now, in the middle of a famine, there's a widow woman that she had enough meal and oil to make one last meal. She was gathering up 2 sticks so she could cook her little cake so her and her son could eat it, and then they planned on just dying. Elijah had to go to a woman and ask her for something. And I'm sure that he probably, I know that he had faith in God, but it had to bother him a little bit to ask this woman for these things, knowing what kind of shape she was in. But God was done with the brook and told Elijah to go to this next location for many reasons. To provide for Elijah, and also to provide for this widow woman and her son. Through their obedience, they all survived the famine. She obeyed. She went ahead and got him something to drink. Excuse me. She went ahead and fed him first. And because she did that, because of her obedience to this man of God, God supernaturally multiplied her meal, her flour, and her oil. Supernaturally. She only had enough to make one cake. But God supernaturally multiplied that to the point where she and her son and Elijah ate continually from that, from the small amount of meal and the small amount of oil. So Elijah had to obey God and leave what God was done with, go to a new place. He also had to obey God and ask a woman for something. He had to ask for something. The woman had to obey God and gone ahead, even though she didn't know God was going to do that, even though she gave her last meal away, basically, is what she did, and God blessed her for it. And I know there was spiritual blessings attached to every bit of that. Okay, again, for Elijah in the wilderness, we're talking about divine supplies and plentiful supplies. For Elijah in the wilderness, and that's going to be in 1 Kings chapter 19. 1 Kings 19 and 6. And he looked, and behold, there was a cake baking on the coals, and a cruse of water at his head. And he did eat and drink, and laid him down again. An angel of the Lord came and supernaturally supplied food and water for Elijah. And Elijah woke up, he ate, and he drank, and he went right back to sleep. He was exhausted. God supplied that to him. Physically supplied that to him. Okay, for the army of the three kings, that's going to be in 2 Kings chapter 3. Now again, we are talking about divine supplies and plentiful supplies. 2 Kings chapter 3, I'm going to read verse 9, 13 through 20, and then 21 through 24. So the king of Israel went, and the king of Judah, and the king of Edom, and they fetched a compass of 7 days' journey, and there was no water for the host, and for the cattle that followed them. And Elisha said unto the king, Elisha, not Elijah, Elisha, said unto the king of Israel, What have I to do with thee? Get thee to the prophets of thy father, and to the prophets of thy mother. And the king of Israel said unto him, Nay, for the Lord hath called these 3 kings together to deliver them into the hand of Moab. And Elisha said, As the Lord of hosts liveth, before whom I stand, surely, were it not that I regard the presence of Jehoshaphat the king of Judah, I would not look toward thee nor see thee. But now bring me a minstrel. And it came to pass, when the minstrel played, that the hand of the Lord came upon him. There is a great lesson to be learned here, involving praise and worship and singing, music. And he said, Thus saith the Lord, Make this valley full of ditches. For thus saith the Lord, Ye shall not see wind, neither shall ye see rain, yet that valley shall be filled with water, that ye may drink, both ye and your cattle and your beasts. And this is but a light thing in the sight of the Lord. He will deliver the Moabites also into your hand. And ye shall smite every fenced city, and every choice city, and shall fell every good tree, and stop all wells of water, and mar every good piece of land with stones. And it came to pass in the morning, when the meat offering was offered, that behold, there came out by the way of Edom, and the country was filled. There came water by the way of Edom, and the country was filled with water. Now, verse 9 said there was no water for them or their cattle. Okay, 21. And when all the Moabites heard that the kings were come up to fight against them, they gathered all that were able to put on armor, and upward and stood in the border. And they rose up early in the morning, and the sun shone upon the water that God supplied supernaturally. And they rose up early in the morning, and the sun shone upon the water, and the Moabites saw the water on the other side as red as blood. And they said, "This is blood. The kings are surely slain, and they have smitten one another. Now therefore, Moab to the spoil." And when they came to the camp of Israel, the Israelites rose up and smote the Moabites, so that they fled before them. But they went forward, smiting the Moabites, even in their country. They went out to battle. They had no water for them to drink, or for their beasts or their cattle to drink. God said, see, God gave them an instruction. There is always going to be an instruction that we have to follow. God said, okay, here's what I want you to do. I want you to go and dig ditches all the way around this place. And they did it. They obeyed the instruction. Well, God sent water out from the land of Edom, and it filled in the ditches, which, number one, it supplied water for them to use, for themselves, for their cattle, for their beasts. But also, it was a twofold blessing. Something else that was done. They were out going to battle the Moabites. God caused the Moabites to see the ditches full of water, and they looked red, like there was blood everywhere. And they thought, oh man, they've killed themselves. Let's go spoil them. Let's go get their, their treasures or whatever. It wasn't blood, it was just water. So when they came upon them, the Israelites were able to defeat them. It's amazing. An instruction. God told Elijah, leave the brook, go here, tell this woman to give you some food. So he did. He obeyed that instruction. Elijah goes and tells the widow woman, give me something to drink and make me something to eat first before you feed yourselves. She did. That was her instruction. She obeyed it. Here for the three kings, they had no water. God said, dig some ditches. That was their instruction. They did it. They obeyed that instruction. Okay, another one for divine supplies or plentiful supplies is in 2 Kings chapter 4, 1 through 7. It's for the prophet's widow. Now there cried a certain woman of the wives of the sons of the prophets unto Elisha, saying, Thy servant my husband is dead, and thou knowest that thy servant did fear the Lord. And the creditor is come to take unto him my 2 sons to be bondmen. And Elisha said unto her, What shall I do for thee? Tell me, what hast thou in the house? Oh, here comes the instruction. And she said, Thine handmaid hath not anything in the house, save a pot of oil. Then he said, Go, borrow thee vessels abroad of all thy neighbors, even empty vessels. Borrow not a few. Go get a bunch of bottles. And when thou art come in, thou shalt shut the door upon thee and upon thy sons. And thou shalt pour out into all those vessels, and thou shalt set aside that which is full. So she went from him, and shut the door upon her and upon her sons, who brought the vessels to her, and she poured out. And it came to pass, when the vessels were full, that she said unto her son, Bring me yet a vessel. And he said unto her, There is not a vessel more. And the oil stayed. Then she came and told the man of God, and he said, Go sell the oil, and pay thy debt, and live thou and thy children of the rest. Oh my gosh, how amazing is this? This woman was a widow. Her husband was dead. She had some debt she owed, and they were coming to take her sons because she could not pay it. So she went to Elisha. He gave her an instruction. He told her to go do something, and she did. She obeyed that instruction. She went and she borrowed as many empty vessels, jars and bottles as she could from her neighbors. She went home. All she had was a little bottle of oil. That's it. Now look, we know that a bottle of oil this size is not going to fill up 10 bottles this size. It just isn't going to. But when God steps in and supernaturally multiplies what we have, When God steps in and gives us an instruction and we follow it and we obey it, that's when God's power is shown, and He multiplies whatever our physical is. He will multiply it physically, and He will multiply it with spiritual blessings. It's amazing. She filled up all those bottles. And when she got down to the last one, she said, okay, bring me another one. And her son said, well, we don't have any more. Then the oil stopped. It was empty. It was done. So she went back to Elijah and told him, and he said, all right, go sell that oil. See, this is where divine supplies and plentiful. Plenty means more than enough. He said, go sell that oil and pay off the debt that you owed. Pay off your creditors. And then the rest of what you get from selling that oil, you and your sons live off of that. Full bottle of oil like that. And an instruction that was obeyed. And she was suddenly out of debt and had enough money to support herself and her sons. How amazing is that? Okay, I love this next one. This is for Samaria in time of famine. But I think we're going to have to go ahead and close for today, but I promise we will pick this up next time. If you have any questions or comments, be sure and leave them in the comments section below. And I pray that you have a wonderful day. Keep on keeping on for Jesus. God bless.